I think we are so connected to sound, even though most of the time we don't know it. Like when you think of it, the very first sound that we ever heard was our mother's heartbeat. Our mother's heartbeat. We listened to that for 9 months. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. The safety of her womb.
Yeah.
That beautiful sound for 9 months. So that's what I try to do with my sessions is to bring people back into that place where this is a space for you to unravel and rest.
This podcast is part of the GK Media Studios Creators Network, helping people tell their stories. Become a storyteller today and learn about our podcaster network at gkmediastudios.com.
Welcome to today's episode of When You Choose You podcast. As you can sense, you can hear, you can see probably, we have a very special guest today. I met Fiona 2 years ago now, or nearly 2 years, in 2023 in November, during a retreat in County Clare. And I fell in love with her energy, as I do with all my guests, so they're here for a special reason.
Love.
Thank you so much, Fiona, for accepting my invitation. I know you have a busy schedule, and I know you are doing a lot of extraordinary things, as you can all sense. Let me know what brought you on this part of your journey.
The part where I'm doing sound healing and sound work.
Yes.
That's an interesting part of my journey because it was, so I've always been singing, whether that was weddings, funerals, special events, pub gigs, wherever music brought me, I was always singing. But this, where I discovered this was through grief.
Okay. That's very interesting.
Yeah. I had a very dear loved one, my partner. We were engaged, and he suddenly died. He left. He had a heart attack. And
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah. It's going on 4 years now, and I suppose, you know, when something like this happens in our lives, it changes everything. It changes you from the inside out. You know, I was turned inside out. My whole world changed. Everything collapsed. Everything, all my dreams and hopes and everything, my heart shattered. It broke. It left me lying on the floor, you know, in smithereens.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So during that time, the first couple of weeks of that, he was from Denmark. We knew each other when we were very young. I'm from Navan originally, County Meath. Yeah. The home
so
of
Fiona lives in County Clare now, but you are originally from Navan.
From Navan.
Okay.
So I grew up in Navan and grew up with the likes of Hector and Tommy Tiernan and Dylan Moore, and that was the era of that. So we met each other in Navan, and then we disappeared. He did his own, he did his own journey. I did my own journey, and we reconnected on Facebook many years later. And we started this long distance relationship, which took me to Denmark and took him. He was coming back home, and it was very beautiful. And so, just back to the story. A friend of his invited me over to Denmark. She was a gong master, and Charlotte is her name, and she invited me over for a retreat, just so that I could, heal, I suppose.
Yes, yeah.
And I remember lying on the ground when the gongs started to play, and it was the most profound experience that I'd ever had, because I had a chance to break open completely break up in a safe place where I was been held. And up till then, I didn't feel that I had that space to do that, where somebody was holding me and I could break open. And it was the gongs that were holding me.
Yes,
she was
the
too.
Sound.
The sound. I was being held in this sound that I'd never heard before. I was in a room and there was just gongs everywhere, and she was able to play them. And at that time, I remember thinking, the gongs are soaking up my grief. They're taking this away from me. They're doing something here. And then I realized that they're actually alchemizing it.
Yes.
They're alchemizing my grief, and they're giving it back to me. You know, this was all in hindsight when I came home and it all integrated. And I felt such a sweetness after that. And I always feel that they turned my grief into sweetness. So I can travel back to these places again, but they're with sweetness. I can still feel the pain, but there's a sweetness in pain.
Yeah.
And I really feel that that's what the gongs did. So I decided I'm going to get a gong. And I came home.
Just for yourself.
Just for my, I was just, because it had such an impact on me. So I came home with a gong, and she posted it home to me, and that begun my sound journey, experimenting with sound. And I have a room full of instruments now.
She brought a few with her. Thank
this
God
bowl
for that.
Yeah, this bowl and this gong came from Denmark.
Wow. So the retreat was in Denmark?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and
it's very interesting how you described the sound held you, because when you did your performance, or I call it performance because I don't know exactly what's the best label.
I think I found a nice word for it, actually. Only recently, it's a prayer-formance.
Prayer-formance, I like that.
Yeah, because it's definitely not a performance, because I'm not performing anything, but it's...
When you say performance, it's like like in a wall, a brick on the wall. It's not receiving what you are doing. So that's why. But I couldn't find another way to put it. So prayer-formance. Okay. So when you did that prayer-formance for the retreat in County Clare, I felt like Ireland holds me.
Wow.
And I was the first time when I felt home in a land where I wasn't born here, but obvious, it was such a strong connection, very, I would say weird, nothing is weird, but it was unusual to feel that. That's why you became very like a special place. You took a special place in my heart. And I can relate to that. What do you think? Because I know you probably did a lot of research, and you're having your own understanding of the sound and how the sound connects with the nervous system. So where do you think that happens in our biology of
I think we are so connected to sound, even though most of the time we don't know it. Like, when you think of it, the very first sound that we ever heard was our mother's heartbeat. Our mother's heartbeat. We listened to that for 9 months. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. The safety of her womb.
Yeah.
That beautiful sound for 9 months. And I think, I remember discovering that myself, although we don't remember it. Unfortunately, we don't remember that. So that's what I try to do with my sessions, is to bring people back into that place where this is a space for you to unravel and rest and reconnect with those parts of yourself where you feel safe, and it's okay to let go, and it's okay just to be here.
Yes.
For the 90 minutes or whatever. So I think for me, that's where it begins. It's like, and when we hear that sound of a drum, it's tribal.
Yes.
Every culture has a drum. Every single culture has a drum. I played the didgeridoo also. Did I play the didgeridoo that day?
I don't remember, no.
I probably didn't.
No.
I only take it out every so often. The didgeridoo is an incredible instrument. It comes from Australia, as you probably know. It's just a piece of wood that's carved out by these insects. I play that sometimes as well. But they used the didgeridoo for healing.
Okay.
They used it to heal breakages and muscle tears and all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's very ancient and exactly. So it's the vibration, basically.
Vibration.
Yeah. And we are vibrating.
We are vibration.
Absolutely.
Everything is vibration.
Yes, exactly.
Everything is making us. The entire universe is a vibration, is pulsating.
Totally. Absolutely. And then when we tune into that universe vibration, which is, from my point of view, it's the perfect one. I think that's when we start healing.
Yeah.
In a very, in a way.
Yeah. It's like we co-regulate. We co-regulate with the pulse of the earth, with that. And that's kind of what sound healing it does. It's like it acts as a bridge to bring us to those places.
Okay. So it's described for people who never heard of it or never experienced. You have to anyway. How do you describe in your words what happens in a sound bath?
So it's a lying down experience, first of all. You can sit up also if you've difficulty lying down. I always give people the option, because for a lot of people it's not always easy to lie on the ground. So it's a lying down experience for most people, and it's called a sound bath because it really and truly feels that you're been washed over. With sound.
You are covered.
You've been washed and cleansed and clean. And what it does is it alters your brain waves. So it's like a shortcut to meditation.
Okay.
So my sessions usually...
Why do you say that it's shortcut?
It's like a shortcut because what it does is it alters your brain waves. We go
faster than the meditation?
Much faster.
Okay.
Much faster. Okay. So the sound, like even when we heard the sound of this, it brings you into the present moment.
Yes.
It brings you into your body. It brings you here. It brings you now. So, for most of us, it's difficult to meditate. The world is so busy. We're so busy. So it instantly alters your brain waves and you go through the different stages of consciousness or whatever.
Exactly.
You could sleep during the whole thing.
Yeah.
You could daydream. You could power nap for the first couple of minutes, and then you could have vivid colors and everything. So you're lying on the ground, and I suppose my way of doing it is because I sing as well. So I like to bring in our traditions and our culture because for me that's just so important.
Yes, I'm going to touch on that in a second.
Okay.
So come back and describe the sound experience. Yeah, exactly.
So you're lying on the ground for 90 minutes, and during that time you get a chance to rest. And when our brain waves get altered, your body's own healing response, our way of healing, gets activated, and your body suddenly remembers, I know how to heal myself.
Yes. Yeah.
I know how to do this.
And it's long enough, now based on what I know, and I know there is science, it's long enough to allow that connection with your capacity, body's capacity, because body remembers.
Yes.
Body and the nervous system is the one who remembers.
Yes.
So it's a long enough time to allow that connection to happen.
Yeah. And it especially works on your nervous system because as you know, your nervous system is like the lens from which we see the world through.
Yes,
so
exactly.
we're either in the fight or flight or rest or digest.
Yes.
So the more we can spend time in that little place in the middle, the more we can visit these places within ourselves, and that's where the deepening happens within your body. So it's like a practice.
What was the best or the most outstanding feedback what you got from someone who attended? Do you remember something special, like you shared with us your own healing experience?
Yeah, I get all sorts of feedback, and some of it is unbelievable. And some of it is just somebody that said that they had so I had somebody came once and they had something wrong with, I didn't know this at the time, with his leg, and he just said he felt the pain in his leg being lifted. Now I'm not
Yes, I know you don't claim
taking responsibility
totally,
for that.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that's what happened during it. This is powerful. It's vibration, and it obviously shifted. It shifted something for him. Most of the people could have shifts in, dealing with emotional things, mental things, little moments of clarity, little shifts in realizing things.
Yeah. Because it's not accidentally that person. I don't think it's accidentally or doesn't make any sense. Now, it will make sense for someone from traditional Western medicine who doesn't understand the holistic approach. But if you are thinking of that person was in pain, and the cause of the pain is inflammation. Inflammation usually is related to stress.
Yeah.
Emotional stress, physical stress, whatever. So if that person was able to go into a state of relaxation and calm, and it probably the body was able to cope with the inflammation and to reduce the inflammation on its own. So I do see that as a possibility. Doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think when we do visit those places within ourselves where we can rest.
Yes, exactly.
And let go and rest.
Yeah.
That's where huge healing happens.
Exactly. And I think with the stress, I always say people do not realize, so it's so embedded in our settled.
It's very silent.
It's very silent, yeah.
You
and don't know until really sparks something or triggers some physical symptom to say hello.
And then you're like, how did I get here? How did I go from there in an instant?
And also, it doesn't happen in an instant. So you're not getting the burnout in an instant, or if I'm thinking it's a process, but you are disconnected.
Yes.
So that connection, you facilitate that connection with the body. I love it.
Yeah, I do too. And I think you said an important word there, disconnection. Because I know myself that, I have been so disconnected from my body. I have been so disconnected. So for me, a huge part of my own healing is connection to the place around me, connection to my own heart, being in my body. I love being in my body now.
What means for you to be in the body?
To be in my body means to be able to feel, to be able to feel how I'm feeling, to be able to hear my breath, to be able to, the wonder of seeing little things like a rainbow. I didn't see that before because I was so disconnected, and I just wanted to get to be so far out because I had pain in my body. So, so for me, my son said to me last week, "Where would you want to go if you won the lottery, Mum?" And I was like, I had to think about it because there isn't really. I'd like to go to the John's Causeway in Antrim, and he was like, "But there's nowhere else that I want to be at the moment, only here."
That's interesting.
It is.
That happens when you embrace where you are and what you are, and you are in peace.
Yeah.
You don't need to escape from that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
A lot of people are waiting for the holiday time to get the rest, or for Christmas to get the rest, or something like that. It's very interesting if you can create that on a daily basis. Yeah,
rest.
For me, it's my nervous system regulation time in the morning. I call it nervous system regulation because when I do get to have my routine, I am okay for the day. When I am not, I'm like,
And I think that's so beautiful when you find what works for you, uniquely to you. You find what brings you joy, laughter in your day, because I think these things we deprive ourselves from.
Yes. And especially, I'm delighted that you touched there on the joy. What is joy for you? Because what I hear around me a lot, it's probably fun. but I do not sense that at all. So for me, joy is completely different than having fun.
Yeah. I think for me, joy is when I can create things around me that are total expression of myself. And that could be something really simple, like I got daffodils the other day, and I every time I look at them, they bring so much joy to me.
Yeah,
Joy
exactly.
is simplicity. Joy is so, it comes in its simplicity, you know. Long time ago, when I was one of my very dear friends, she's a therapist, and she said to me, the opposite of depression is expression.
Wow.
And this was the time when I was really struggling in my life. And it had stayed with me forever. She says, every day you need to create something in your day that's an expression of your soul.
Do you know when you are stressed, you can't create?
You can't.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't, because the nervous system is in fight and flight, and you are not able to see. You are narrow vision to get in whatever the danger you perceive.
Interesting.
Okay? So you cannot possibly create from that. Very little. The creation, you have to be relaxed.
Yeah.
And that's it, exactly what the therapist said. She was totally right. Like, you can't be in both states.
You can't. Yeah.
In the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think, you know, joy for me it comes in a real simplistic way, you know.
And I think it's a more spiritual expression of it's that connection. When I say spiritual, I'm not saying religious, just to clarify for you, for listeners who didn't listen before to me. And so I'm talking about the soul, the expression of our soul and the connection with our you. When you choose you, that you is the higher self. And that's when I think that's joy.
Yeah.
When you really access that, you cannot feel anything else than gratitude, awe, and joy.
Yeah, enjoy. Yeah. Enjoy is being in joy.
Exactly.
You know, and I love human beings. I love. This morning I met you, and I love smiling. I love seeing other people smile. I love to see, you know, I love to know that I have changed somebody's life in a small little way. That brings me so much joy.
You definitely touched lives, because that's why you are here.
Wow.
You definitely touched mine to some extent, so I'm sure that I'm not the only one. So.
And I suppose other people have touched my life, so it's like it's like that weaves through that generosity of spirit.
Yes.
Weaves through us all, you know, being of service to each other.
Yes, it's the most beautiful expression of the higher self.
It is. Yeah. It is.
I think that's what we are called to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. So, go back. You said that you are singing along with the sound, the sound bath. Or along with your instruments. So what way you're singing? What is your style? What is when that started? Tell me a little bit about that.
So I suppose, I think I you know, as a child, I had great difficulty speaking. I always found it so difficult to speak.
To express yourself or to just...
To express myself.
Okay.
Words, you know, that for me was very, very painful. And, you know, I'll touch on that in a few moments. And I'm kind of just realizing why that was. I felt like I was born into the world with this.
Okay.
But the one thing that I could do was sing. Okay. And my grandmother, she used to put me up on her kitchen table. She used to call me Finona.
Finona.
She was from Kerry, so she had a kind of broken English, pidgin English.
Yes.
So she used to put me up on the table in the kitchen, and I would sing for them. And so at that very early age, I discovered this is what I'm good at. This is what I love doing.
That's such a joy. That's joy for me.
It's joy
that some being found its voice, its gift at such an early day. Yeah.
And that was through my grandmother. And she, I remember she used to have her apron on. She'd be cooking something in apple tart or something, and then I'd be up on the table singing for her. Obviously, she was taking joy from, and I was too. So as I grew older, then I come from a little parish in County Meath called Kilberry.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a little pub. It's still there. It's changed a lot since, called Scannons. It was a little thatched roof pub. So every Sunday we would go to Mass, and then after Mass we would go to the pub. And this was a kind of an extraordinary pub, because in the middle of it was where they sold all the food, and on one side of it was the Gaeltacht people who kind of only spoke Irish, and on the other side of it was the Kilberry people. So my mother is from Kilberry, my father was from Gibbstown. And so I used to go up there every Sunday, and the place was full of music and full of characters. So there would be a man in the corner playing the accordion, and he had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. And I remember the ashes would be falling down, but he was still playing. And a woman used to drop by called Florrie, and she'd play the fiddle. And there was always extraordinary characters in it. And I used to be asked every Sunday to sing a song. And it would be like, and Fiona will sing a song now.
Okay.
You weren't asked. You were almost told in a
inviting
nice way.
Without even having the chance to say no.
Yeah, you daren't say no. But I mean, it wasn't. So when you were asked to sing, it was an honor. I've carried that through. That it's always an honor when somebody asks you to sing. Always be prepared. Have something prepared. And I, I'd be shaking, I'd be trembling, but I would sing. And the minute that I would start singing, this is where I had the most extraordinary experiences with sound and silence. So the noisy pub would shush.
Wow.
There would be to where it was actually frightening. Like silence can be very frightening.
Yes.
When you go from that noise. So I experienced...
And sound can be very frightening.
Yeah.
In a silence.
Exactly.
So it's a contrast, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I experienced those two places.
But you are so perceptive, highly perceptive, to be able to remember even those memories and having that connection to your...
Yeah, so much. So I think because they had such a huge... profound effect on me, and I would start singing. My little voice would sing into the silence, and I travelled to that place where my little voice met this great big silence from that huge big noise. So then I sang into that silence all the time. It became the norm, singing into silence. It's like almost like an artist when they start to paint, they have a blank canvas.
Yes. So your blank canvas was the silence.
The silence.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Such a beautiful way to describe.
I don't think there's a word. Maybe there is a word. I'm always searching for that word. Maybe you have it in your language, where sound meets silence. Maybe if any of the listeners out there would.
Yeah.
Is there a word?
If you listen to the podcast and you hear this and you have that word, please do let us know.
Let us know.
Exactly. Nothing is randomly happening.
Yeah.
So we might find a word, what you are looking for. So tell me where you were when, like, professionally. So were you singing? That was what you did when the tragedy happened?
So that was just after COVID.
Okay.
And so I was singing, and then COVID happened, and...
Yeah. So you were performing before the COVID, and then you were performing.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
In pubs.
I like that. Yeah, in pubs. And really, to be honest with you, I was, I was doing it for money most of the time. And
so you were performing.
Yeah, it was a hard job. It's a hard road singing, because most musicians sing and they play their music for the love of it, and most of the time you don't get paid for it, and so that's you sing in these places because you need to. It's insatiable.
Yes.
You do, because you crave that expression. So COVID happened, and I had no work. I had no gigs. I had nothing. So I was kind of, at that stage, I was, doing a lot of writing during COVID as well. And thinking, okay, this is a really good time to reinvent myself. And then Freddie died. And that's what happened. So I came out of COVID then with all of this.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know it's a painful experience in times, but it's so... you picked that experience and you transformed it in something so beautiful. Yeah. I send you lots of love because I know the healing doesn't happen once off.
No.
We heal as we go until
layers,
we finish. Yeah, exactly.
Layers and layers.
And I think that will be something what you will always let another layer to go and let another layer to go.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So
I feel his presence a lot though in that, in this, in everything that I do, Yeah.
That's so beautiful. I think that's the most beautiful thing about grief, if there is beautiful. And I think we are dismissing our hard feelings, heavy feelings, called negative feelings. We don't embrace them, as my belief is that we should. I don't often use the word should, but I think we should in that case because it's part of us.
Yeah.
The more we push away or we try to get rid of those heavy feelings, the more we disconnect from who we are.
Yeah. And often when we do that, we suppress them.
Yeah.
And they go in and they go in and
they eat us from the, like, if you can say that, like, yeah.
No,
they get blocked. And when the energy is blocked inside, our organs are not happy at all.
No.
Our chemistry and everything else changes and creates chaos. And when we are in chaos.
Yeah, everything else around us becomes chaos.
Yeah. So what you are doing, are you still writing and singing and doing the sound bath?
Yeah, so I'm doing...
I didn't know that you're writing.
Yeah, so I have released a few songs as well. I'm a songwriter.
Yes, songwriter, okay.
Yes, so I've just released a new song.
Yes,
okay. And it's called Be Still.
Be Still.
And it's a 10-minute... I wanted to create...
We'll put in the description the link to... Yeah, okay,
great.
Perfect.
So it's a 10-minute song. And, I was very hesitant. When I got the vision to create this, I was like, no, nobody's going to listen to this for 10 minutes. And maybe they won't. But for me, I wanted to gift the world this 10-minute piece of music where people would just come and sit with it. I think my music, the more that I'm, working with sound, I'm realizing that my music is changing, my own music is changing, that I'm creating music to sit with.
Okay, yeah.
To sit with. So
to connect with the soul.
Yeah, to lie down and listen. And so 10 minutes for this song, and there's only 2 lines in it. It's be still, surrender.
Oh my God. I didn't listen to it. I have to, yes. Yeah, okay.
Be still, surrender into the arms of love. Be still and remember that you are love.
Okay.
So that's the whole 10-minute song. So it's like a chant.
Yes.
I was in India. Did I tell you this? So I've spent many times. I've gone to India.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you that.
Yeah, that's why you are here. So
talk.
Let's talk.
Let's talk.
Tell me now.
So years and years ago.
That was before the transition.
This was probably in 1999.
Wow.
I'd begun my journey to India. So, and I've been there about maybe 6 or 7 times. And when I went there first, I discovered that their prayers and their songs, they're called kirtans or bhajans, were so similar to our language.
Okay.
Irish. And I learned them so quickly.
Wow.
I learned them so quickly. And so that was a big part of my day. We'd get up and, I stayed in an ashram, and we'd get up and we'd get up at 4:00 in the morning. And we would go down to the hall and we would meditate or sit in meditation. And then at the very end of that, there would be the kirtan and the singing, which I look forward to so much. And that would go on for an hour. And you would sing yourself into bliss.
Yes.
You would sing yourself into bliss.
That's the word for the joy. What I am bliss. Okay, yeah.
Bliss.
That's one of the words what we were looking for today.
Yeah, we should note all these beautiful words.
Exactly, yeah.
So
we don't use them often enough.
No, we don't. Yeah. We should start a bliss revolution.
Yes, exactly. We should.
Should.
We could.
We will. So I discovered their holy songs, and then when I came back to Ireland, I was like, how do I weave this into my own life? So this is what this song is. So it's like a mantra. Mm-hmm. It's a mantra with a real Irish flavor to it.
Okay, I love that flavor.
Yeah.
I know you are very connected to the language, the Irish language and the Irish land. So develop that a little bit. So why is that? Where do you think that comes from? And
yes,
or what's the attraction for your soul? In what do you feel you are so attracted?
Yeah. So my ancestors come from the Blasket Islands. Mm-hmm. So the Blasket Islands is an island off the west coast of Kerry. It's like the furthest point out. Mm-hmm. It's the closest place to America. It's so far out. So my ancestors were islanders.
Okay.
I am related to a lady called Tadhg, mm-hmm. which for most Irish people, that probably triggers something because we had to study it for the Leaving Cert.
Okay.
So Tadhg is considered one of Ireland's cultural giants. Mm-hmm. She was the queen of folklore and storytelling.
Okay.
So that's in my blood.
Okay.
That's in my bones. It's in my DNA.
Can I ask how many generations?
So
are you aware?
Yes, so she it would be just 2 generations ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So close enough.
Yeah. So my grandfather lived with her.
Okay.
My grandfather lived with her. And so they spoke only Irish. They spoke only Irish. So on the island, they didn't have a church.
Yes.
They didn't have a hospital. They had their own little system, their own little way of living. They had their own king.
Wow.
I think his name is Tommaso Cahan. They had the king of the island who overseen everything, quarrels or whatever, he overseen everything. And so it's an interesting
way to be.
Yeah. They had their own, they made their own food and everything. Obviously so the island was evacuated in 1957 because it just became, all the young people had left and they'd gone to America and everything. So there was only a few people left. 2 of the last people off the island were 2 of my relations.
Wow.
They came and they brought all their belongings on a curragh over from the Blasket Islands, their cat, and I went to visit them. They wouldn't speak English to me. I'm not a native speaker because I was born in England. My dad.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad and my mom, we lived in England. My mother actually, the reason that they did go to England was my mother became pregnant with my older brother. Mm-hmm. And if she had stayed here, he would have been taken off her.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was the time that all that was happening. And so they went to England and I was born there as well. So I was 6 or 7 when we came back, but I had missed out on all the infancy Irish. So it was a strange language for me, so I'm not a native speaker, unfortunately, but I love to sing it.
Okay. But you're speaking?
Little bit. I'm learning it.
You're learning.
It's much learning. It's harder to learn things as you get older. But,
yes, tell me about that.
Yeah, no, it is. But so
I realized that when I came in Ireland.
Yeah.
And I was forced to. I had no choice just to speak in English. And that was the moment when it was 2017 and I got a dream job as a medical secretary. And I realized that it's very hard for my brain at 37 at that stage to switch from English in work, Romanian at home, and then again switch and I said, I remember as clear as it was today, I came home and I said to my son, from today onwards, we are going to speak English, full stop. And I forced myself
To speak
into,
it.
even when I got angry and then I
Yeah,
got
wow.
frustrated, I
Fair
did
play to
not
you.
say a word in Romanian. I was like, I don't know how to say in English, but
That's incredible.
it helped. Like, that's why they were so fast. Because then I started to think in English.
And do you dream in English?
Totally.
Do you?
100%, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm not proud, but I find there are moments when I find very hard to express myself in Romanian.
Gosh.
Yeah, I'm not translating by no, absolutely not. I'm thinking in English, like yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but
wow.
if someone is asking me now to get another language, and I would probably feel resistance, and that is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I admire people that come here and they learn, because not only English, but Irish people speaking English is a whole other new language. We speak so fast as well. There's so many different dialects. You know, even when I came to Clare first from Meath, I was just watching people's mouths move.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I remember a trip on the bus from Dublin to Clonmel, because I was living in Clonmel before I moved to Clare. And it was my first months in Ireland. And I was like, I heard like they're kind of singing, talking English. I was not sure if that's English. So I could not possibly pick the words to understand what they were saying. But I was like, okay, happy that they are talking in a kind of English.
Yeah.
It was so interesting. I said, how am I going to be able to understand what's like?
Yeah. You know, even in Clare, they have such beautiful...
But I love that way. And I loved that I was able to connect with those people during my job. Like, I was in a eye clinic, ophthalmology clinic, in a private hospital for a good few years. And people are coming old age. And even now I'm connected. My clients are 50 plus. And I am able to understand no matter where you're coming from in the country. Even Kerry accent doesn't bother me at all. It's interesting how you adapt the ear.
It really is.
Yeah.
We're so resilient human beings, aren't we? Like even the storm last week, you know, how resilient, how quickly we adapted to the darkness and became creative, cooking our food. And
can I say something from someone who is not born in this land, if I can say? Resilience is not something what you hear or see on the continent.
Okay.
We are very Balkanic is what I'm describing, but it's like fighting, resisting, not happy, that type of thing. In Ireland, resilience is home. I noticed that.
Wow.
I never said that before, but because you spot it, very much, very different. Like, resilience means acceptance, embracing what is, like, accepting that bad and good is together. They're meant to be
parallel.
Together. Exactly. You can't have one without another.
Yeah.
I would say probably it's over generalization, but we don't fight. We transform, we alchemize.
Yeah. I love that word.
Yeah, I know. I'm in a lot of alchemizing myself, in an alchemizing phase in my life.
I love it. Even the word transform, it's like it changes. It's like, you know, even when we need to let go of something, it's like, where does it go?
Yes.
Where does it go? So it's like it gets transformed. It changes its shape. And it comes back to us in a different way, you know.
Exactly. That's so, yeah. So you were saying about the resilience, and I interrupted you there.
No, that's okay.
So go back to the idea of Ireland, and
yeah. So I suppose
about the storm.
Yes. So I suppose I sing during my sound journeys. I sing in Irish, and I sing old invocation songs and chants as well, as a way to honor my own ancestors who lost their language, who lost their culture. My family they moved up from Kerry during the 1930s to County Meath, and it was during the time of the Land Commission where There was a scheme to kind of, it was for farming. So, and also to help with the Irish language as well. So my family came up to County Meath, and they couldn't speak English.
Wow.
So that's probably why I admire people that come here and they learn the language. So they came up, and they farmed, and they had their houses. They were given houses and everything. But when I look back, there's a lot of alcoholism in my family.
Mm-hmm.
And I often wondered why. Where did this happen? How did it happen? Why? And it was because they were disconnected from their language and their culture.
Yes.
And that's what they did, so that
they soothed their
exactly, they soothed themselves.
It was a coping mechanism.
It was a coping mechanism.
I always say about the alcoholism, because I hear people saying, unfortunately, he was an alcoholic, or she was an alcoholic, or she's whatever. Unfortunately, and I take that out because people are suffering, and it's just because they pick the bad substance or the bad habit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the unfortunately part. But people are looking for soothing methods,
yes.
soothing modality.
Yes.
To kind of alchemize the pain.
And that's what alcohol,
yeah, exactly. That's where the alcohol comes.
So that's kind of, that's a real thread that goes through my whole family. My father's a recovering alcoholic as well. So they came up from Meath, and my father didn't speak English till he was born in Meath, but he didn't speak English till he was 7 or 8. And his memories were, that they had to speak English because they were considered stupid and amadons. Amadon is an Irish kind of a slang word, or in Clare they call them dons. So when I learned that, I was like, that is just so sad. That is so sad. But that's in my bones and that's in my blood as well. The shame for speaking Irish. The shame because they weren't allowed. They didn't feel that they fitted in. So, and nobody understood them.
Okay.
So you can imagine what it was like for them being displaced and coming from the beautiful west of Ireland that was the undiluted way of the Irish ways, and they really celebrated their culture and their food and everything, and they came up to Meath, which was almost like going to a different country. And so I really feel that that's where a lot of my own issues with my speaking, that I had so much shame in and around. The scariest thing for me to hear when I was a child was my voice, my own voice.
Your own voice. That's so interesting.
Yeah, my own voice. So I had to. So I knew I could sing, but for me, it was talking. If I could show this to my 16-year-old self, that I'm sitting here doing a podcast with you talking, I would have gone, wow, is that really me? I would never have dreamt that I would have done anything like this in my life, because I couldn't even read. I couldn't even read for the teacher in school. I was so scared to speak. And I never knew where it came from. But the more that I'm working with sound, I think this is where it comes from. My ancestors.
It's probably definitely, yes, in your ancestry that was something painful about that.
Yeah.
They couldn't
speak.
Yes, they couldn't speak. So you sensed, you picked on their pain.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. So I'm doing a lot of kind of my own way of healing. That is when I sing the Irish songs at my sound bath. I really feel that there's a presence, and that I'm honoring the language.
Yes, okay.
So this is just my story, but this is the story of Irish people in general. Our language is taken, our land, everything. So I feel that I'm healing those wounds for myself, and also for my sons as well.
Yes, exactly.
And their children, and their children,
yes,
and their
exactly.
children.
Yeah, it's amazing how, as healers or as empowering people to heal themselves and to the connectors with our higher selves. Because I'm part of that. I'm not consider myself by any means a healer, but I would like to be a facilitator for connection to the higher self in each of people who I'm working with. I think as facilitators, and I think our first or our biggest desire was to stop the generational trauma.
Yeah.
Now, that's a label what we hear around a lot in the current world, generational trauma. But these small little things for me I was never heard.
Yeah. Seen
as a child.
Yeah.
I could never, because my parents were not able to cope with themselves and
mine too.
Very disconnected from themselves, not able to regulate and whatever. So I was completely emotionally ignored, and I said, that will never happen. I want to break that because it was so painful. And I became very aware very soon, early in my childhood, that I'm not seen and I'm not heard, and I've never been asked, why did you do that? Or what do you think, or what do you feel, or why did you, like, even when you do a silly thing, you didn't, no one, what did you think, what was in your head? Like, I remember asking my son a lot, what was in your head when you said, tell me what exactly was in your head, because I'm very curious. How do you know that you are going to escape with that?
What were you thinking?
Because I knew that is going to give me information if I'm listening to, like, if I open the box. But they'd never had the times to, and I don't know.
Well, they were just surviving.
They were stressed, exactly. That's stress.
Yeah.
And they were generations, because they couldn't have food, they didn't have food, they were shut down and up all together, oppressed.
So how did you heal? I mean, this is where the interview changes
yes,
from me.
Exactly.
How did you heal that in you, being seen, being heard?
So authentic health is about being seen and being heard and being valued. So when that's why I swapped from nutrition to more than that, creating a space where people are coming and saying that food is my problem. It's never the case. Never. I cannot say once that we started with food and we stopped there. So I felt that food is okay. It's the start of it. We need to heal the way how we the modern and this very fast-paced taught us to eat and whatever. But then I said, okay, once we have that aligned, if the people feel safe and seen and heard, that's where I can not perform, but I can make a difference. If I can create that space where people are feeling, and I had people, clients in front of me, bursting in tears, saying that, oh my God, I was never able to do that.
Yeah.
And it's not only once. I saw that a few times. So that's why I have tissues in my practice all the time. I love tears because, oh my God, they saved my life.
Me too.
They saved my physical health and well-being and my mental health and well-being. So I knew this is my gift to create that safe space, because if I was able to heal, like to connect with that and to overcome that, I think everyone can.
Yeah. And you can only bring people to the depths that you have gone yourself.
Yes, exactly.
So this is
totally.
This is what I love about growing. It's so when I see things change around me, that I know when I have gone a little bit deeper, then my sound baths get deeper.
Okay.
People can I can take people deeper. Yeah, it's interesting when I see that happen.
It happens. If I'm listening to you, I'm thinking of my clients, my work, myself. I'm in completely different level where I was a few years ago, because I'm constantly working on myself.
Yeah. To a point where it just becomes not work. It just becomes the norm.
Who I am, yeah.
It's just who you are. It's not something, I don't see this as something that I do anymore. I do it.
I'm being.
But it's what I am.
Yes,
it
exactly.
becomes the norm, isn't it?
And that's where the soul is at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
Enjoy.
Enjoy, yes. And awe. I love that awe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, do you want to play?
Do you want me to?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I hope everyone is going to enjoy this.
This is a little, I've recorded this actually. That's another link that we could put up. It says it's on Spotify.
We will, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's called Eish Le Macree. In Irish, that just means listen to my heart.
Wow.
Yeah. Le There is a voice beneath the noise, a sound that does not shout, yet it is always speaking. The pulse beneath my skin, waiting to be heard. Heart of mine, I call to you from the depths where you have hidden, from the silence where you have slept. Come forth now, rise and be known. I am listening, I am here, and I am home. Le
Thank you so much.
Thank
That
you.
was bliss. Thank you. That is amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miranda.
And thank you so much for opening your heart. And before we wrap up, I want to ask you first where people can connect with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then ask you to ask me a question.
Okay. So
you already did, but I'll give you another chance.
Okay. The interview changed direction there a little bit. So on social media, you can find me on Instagram, Fiona Guheen, and that's spelled Fiona. And my surname is Guiheen. And
we'll put all the links in the description below.
Yes. Yeah. And my songs are on Spotify and YouTube.
Okay.
And if you want to come to any of my sound journey events, I do them in Ennis, Galway, County Meath, Belfast, Dublin.
She's traveling a lot.
I move around.
Wherever you are in Ireland, you can find Fiona somewhere close by you. Yeah, exactly. Okay, and now a question for me, please.
Okay, so I had to write it down.
Okay.
So, what has been the most informative choice that you have made for your own well-being, and how did it shape in the way you guide others on their journey? I think we probably spoke about that earlier on.
Yes. So informative just helped me to understand what angle do you want me to. So when you said informative, what you meant?
Well, what has been, I suppose, the most transformative? That's what I meant.
It was an experience, personal experience, when I transitioned from only nutrition to the actual work, what I'm doing with the emotional background of any physical symptom. I was after 15 years of urinary tract infection recurrences. So every month. So I was constant on antibiotic.
Wow.
And I said, okay, it was a very bad one in 2021. And I was not tolerating antibiotic anymore. So after being years on that antibiotic turned against me, and I could not move. So I had a pain in my lower back that it nailed me in the bed. And I was like, hold on a second. I am eating clean. I was after doing a sugar detox, completely didn't touch for 10 days. And still, it's not, I'm taking the antibiotic, I am taking cranberries and Dimanos and all of that. What is going on? What is the cause of this? I saw consultant after consultant. I hear every time the same story. Hygiene, whatever, everything has to be. I said, okay, box ticked, everything what I'm doing. What's going on? And I started to dig deeper. What emotion is behind and all of that. And in a week, now the process kept was a continued process, but I improved. I didn't have a UTI in years. Probably I had a touch of it recently, but it not even bothered me much. It was an emotional fear of masculine. Once I realized that it was years of working on it, it didn't go away. But once I connected to that cause, it disappeared. And I did not eat anything since.
Wow. And when you say connected to, did you...
I have a model in my world. So when I know why I am doing what I am doing, even a behavior, or in this case was a physical symptom in my body, why body does that, I release. I don't need to do it anymore because I hurt myself. I seen myself.
Yeah.
I saw the pain. Now was me, the adult, trying to understand, to do the work in that case and see what more I can do to help myself to not to struggle anymore, to embrace the masculine energy and the men around me and all of that. But it was, and that was for me, okay, so it's more than food and medication, and you can do everything, ticking the boxes, and the pain doesn't go away.
So it was that shift that happened when you see something and you validate it.
Exactly.
It goes back to the validation.
Yeah.
Everything goes back to that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, seeing yourself, hearing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. Now, it's not easy, and I don't want this to sound like, even with my clients or even in my work, or you go to someone, because that's very easy, and I did that myself. It's like spiritual bypass.
Yeah.
Or healing bypass or whatever. So you are going to try something else because the medicine, the traditional medicine, the Western medicine didn't do much for you. And then you say, you expect that the healer heals you. The healer never heals you.
No.
That's wrong. Like completely not the right. And if you expect that, you get frustrated. You get upset, you get disappointed.
Plus you're giving away your power to somebody else. And I think, a lot of the wellness industry is toxic with that at the moment.
I will never forget. I think I was in my early 30s, and it was this still in Romania at that stage, and still this trend with losing weight, like now, but it was probably more than, like, it was like, in Romania is bigger than here, I think. And I heard a friend of mine saying to someone else, why are you not going to X was a nutritionist, to slim you down? That was the translation. I can't put in better words than slim you down. And I was like, what? I love my friend to bits, but I was like, what is she talking about? No one is going to slim that person down than the person or whatever the work is at. So why do people think that someone else is doing for us, the tablet is doing for us, the surgery, not that when it's the case, it's the case, and totally. If you believe that that's going to do it for you, that will going to do it for you.
And it's giving your power away to outer, and that's that for me is a big part of my own work is I always tell people, you are the medicine.
Yes.
You are your own healer.
Yeah. That's the whole essence of what I'm doing. It's like my whole work is around that. Find that you who is able to heal.
Yeah, yourself.
Yeah. Because you have it in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's remembering.
Exactly.
It's remembering.
That's remembering.
Yeah.
I love that we finish in that.
Yeah.
Let's remember who we are.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Fiona. It was a joy and a bliss to have you here. Thank you.